964 time. Look at this beautiful machine. Oh my God. This is my friend Joe's car. He's just purchased it. I'm totally in love with it. It's a very short review of this today. Let me slip out into traffic here. Alrighty. Rock and roll. Yes, it's super hot. I'm super sweaty. But yes, Joe just picked up this car and I absolutely adore this color combination. The light blue on the outside with the gray on the inside. Oh, it's so beautiful, this car. I am totally in love with it. Quite aside from the fact that I love the 964s anyway, they're just such a beautiful car. But let's just reset for a moment. What is a 964? Well, it is the early 90s 911. It is obviously an air-cooled 911, and it sort of shared the 90s with the 993s, which were the late 90s 911s. And now, of course, everybody wants one of these cars, or the 993, so they just keep going up and up in price. Because, of course, everybody wants the original air-cooled 911s with the original look. And this truly is the classic 911 look, with the bug eyes at the front, sloping rear end, and the classic upright windshield, and of course that fantastic air-cooled engine. And this, of course, being a classic 911, is a very unique vehicle to drive. You know, the pedals sort of go down on the floor. It is very loud on the inside, and they're not the easiest car to drive, but it's all part of the challenge and all part of the enjoyment of driving these cars. And the 90s were not a great period for Porsche. They were still selling cars, but not in the numbers to make them a truly profitable sports car company. For example, the 964, this car sold between 10 to 15,000 units a year. Well, that's nothing compared to later models like the 996, which were easily selling twice that, 30,000 cars a year. So it was a slow sales period for Porsche, and that continued right into the 993 range as well, which also had slow sales, 10 to 15,000 a year as well. And this car didn't stick around for long. It was only a model that was 4 years, similar to the 993s, also 4 or 5 years before they moved on to the modern series 911s. So these were made during the hard times of Porsche, when things weren't going quite as well as they hoped. And it kind of shows, you know, while these are so sought after and so much fun to drive now, back in the day, cars were getting a little more modern and looked more modern inside, whereas the 964 and the 993 to a certain degree still looked a bit dated on the inside even when they were new. And the ergonomics are very strange in these cars. The buttons and things are all in odd places. Even the little lights for the warning lights you can't see down here. Like the sunroof light is up in here, and the mirror lights are over somewhere you can't find them, and the window wipers don't touch the windows properly. It's all very classic 911. It's the stuff we love. And while this car had the new engine, the 3.6 litre engine, which was considered powerful at the time, you know, it's 250 horsepower, but this is a very light car. It does have airbags, but not a lot of the safety equipment you see on modern cars. But 250 horsepower is enough. And, you know, I'm a strong believer with Porsches, less is always more. And so you really have to push this car to get anything out of it. So, drop down. Listen to it. Oh my God. It's so freaking awesome. Yeah, honestly, this is more fun to drive than a modern Porsche 911. Of course, it's nowhere near as fast, nowhere near as easy to stay on the road, but that's all part of the joy, is, you know, having to have a little bit of skill in driving your Porsche 911. So, aside from it being a lot of fun to drive, the other great thing about owning a classic 911 is that they retain their value so well. In fact, more than just retain, as long as you look after them, they slowly edge up in value over time. And of course, the 964 is the 911 of choice for companies like Singer, who want to modernize a classic 911 because it's such a solid base.
While the 964 was more of an evolution from the previous 3.2 911, it did introduce a wide range of innovations to the 911 for the first time. Modern suspension, perhaps the most important change, helping keep them on the road, but many other safety features like airbags and ABS. On the inside, creature comforts like air conditioning and a heater that kind of worked some of the time made an appearance. The four-wheel drive Carrera 4 also made its first appearance with the 964, and many small under-the-skin refinements like a vacuum hose to both distributors to keep moisture out that also runs to all the lights to keep them free of moisture as well. Tricky. A common problem with the 964 is corrosion around the windowsill, and as you can see here, this one's had a repaint. Around the front, this car has the turbo style vents that have replaced the standard fog lamps. I kind of hope that Joe swaps that back, because any 90s kid will agree that fog lamps are cool, and they add, 20 horsepower. Another common problem on the inside is the door stops coming loose, so check for that if you're buying one. Inside, the manual transmission, and down here an override switch for the spoiler deployment. The ashtray clips also fail, and this ashtray will pop open at random times during your drive. And for those of you who wonder where the style for the heritage leather package on the new 992 comes from, look no further. Under here you can see the odd placement of the sunroof and mirror switches, and this little knob over here releases the gas cover, which is on the left on the 964. Also hidden in the door frame is the engine cover release. Anyway, that's it from me and the beautiful blue 964. I hope to do a much more detailed review of this car in the future. But in the meantime, thanks for watching everybody, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye then. And if you're wondering where to acquire the ridiculous t-shirts that I wear in my videos, they're all here in my store, all your favorites, including offensive stamps and my rapid dry towels as well. Yes, Nick Murray t-shirts, being a little inappropriate since 2016.